Well, hello, wealthy women. It is Coach Tamara here. Okay, I am so very excited to bring you my next success story interview. It is going to be filled with so much wonderful wisdom that you can go ahead and just have it inspire and motivate you. Of course, you know, we do the success questions, which is even greater because there's so much that you're going to be able to get out of it. But rather than me just keep talking, let me go ahead and pass over the mic and the video to Danielle, and she will tell you all about who she is, what she does, how you can find her, how she can help you. And then we'll go into the great success questions. So, Danielle, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. So I am Danielle Booher. I am a lot of things, but I'm a life coach, a author, a speaker, and I help women who have experienced loss gain back their freedom by teaching them the power of perseverance, forgiveness, and eliminating limiting beliefs. So I'm very passionate about helping women because I needed help and I struggled some traumatic situations throughout my life. And so I wish I had somebody there to help me. I have several packages for coaching, and they're all through school. If you ever heard of that, it's a nice community. So one is basically where we go month to month, no contract at all. Then I have one that's a 16-week program, individual and then group. And that's basically the gist of it. And everything is based to help you. That's my whole goal.
Not to interrupt you, but we just had a tech error for a second. Can you share again what the 16-week program was? Because it just blocked out for a second.
So one of my programs is a 16-week program. It is weekly meetings every week. And there's for individuals and group.
Perfect, perfect. And what do most of your clients share with you about how working with you has transformed their lives and just how you made their life so much better because of having the chance to work with you in any capacity?
Yeah, so I'm super blessed and grateful. And I don't like to brag about stuff, but but my clients, even my friends, my coworkers, I'm a nurse, just everybody, um, they come to me and they always say it feels like I say the right thing that they need at the time. And so I again am super grateful that people trust me and that I get to help them. So a lot of ways I've helped people heal to where they were triggered by a certain thing and now they can speak about it and they're growing and it makes me feel so good and it brings me very much joy.
Yeah, it's amazing the work that you're doing because a lot of times we can get in our own ways or we can't even see what the block is. And it really takes someone to be able, skill set like you have, to be able to not only have the empathy so that you relate, you can understand because you've walked the walk, talk the talk, but you also have the skill set that they can start to build in a way that brings them a better life experience overall or specific to a certain subject. And I imagine that is so rewarding, especially when you know that you're not only helping client, but then it's kind of that pay it forward where their children are being blessed or their friends or extended family or their work experience. And it just has this trickle down effect, which is so positive. And, you can see that they may potentially have never gotten out of that spin cycle if they didn't have that chance to really make the connections that you help bring out in them. And I think that's really just the most powerful and important work because there are times when we're all strong and we can do it on our own, and then there are times where we really don't know we need the help, and then we finally get that help and it was wow, and then you quantum leap your ability to get the results that you had hoped for and have a whole new confidence and perspective, right? I mean, how rewarding that must be for you to be able to uh, facilitate somebody with what they're going through. So I love that. How what just is your most joyful moment when you knew, like, maybe we'll go into the success questions even earlier now. Well, actually, before we do that, can you share your website address so that people know, or where they can find your business?
Okay, so www.authordaniellebooher.com is my author one. I had a life coach one, but I canceled it because I wasn't getting what I needed out of it, and neither were the clients. And then you can find me on Facebook, Instagram. Just look me up. My book is on Amazon, so you can find me all kinds of places. If you Google Danielle Booher, then there's not many of us, I don't think. So it was
Um,
like give you me.
Perfect. And actually, before we go on, tell us a little bit about your book. Share a little bit about that, and the name, and what it is, what it's about, and all the good stuff.
Okay, so Inside CJ's Mind is my book, and I wrote it in honor of my brother who passed away. So most people, it's tricky because they think that it's his life story, but it's not. It's a upper middle fiction. And the reason is because I wanted to help people. And unfortunately, my brother did not get any help. So the character gets all the help that my son got. My son has several diagnoses. And so I know that these things work. So the character gets IEP at school, occupational therapy, and all that. So the book is to help people have a better understanding about OCD in a way, and to bring caregivers and the person with OCD some other tools. Like there's um, skills and tools for like anxiety in there, and like different things to help them kind of navigate that diagnosis. And it's really hard for people that have OCD, and it makes me emotional. We were 1 year apart, and I could hear everything through the wall, and so he really struggled a lot. And so it's really important for me to for people to know that mental health in any capacity or any diagnosis is so important, and to get help. And there is hope, and you can do better. And once you do, you're gonna like look back and be so grateful that you're not going through what you experienced before. So
That's really touching and will help so many, because many people are struggling with this or something similar, and they stay in without getting the help or the understanding. And now just knowing that there is a book even out there that can start to move the needle forward in this capacity, and the fact that you turned a tragedy into a triumph to help other people, I mean, that's just beautiful. I mean, there's nothing else to say except
thank you.
thank you for what you do and for all the people that you help. And I'm so glad that we're doing this interview and we can get more awareness for mental health out there, and also for the coaching and help that you can help your clients with. So, all right, let's go now into the success questions. So, I do these success questions because it's a great way to kind of understand how someone has started and went have gone for their dreams to create their own business, and some of the little zigzags they had to go through and come, and it inspires other women embarking on this path, and to let them know they're not alone, and that to just basically keep moving forward, right? And so by gaining that wisdom from you and others, it's just a really it's like a help up, for them. So my first question, reading glasses time. If you could only choose one answer, what would you say is the number one way that building your business has enriched your own personal life?
Oh, definitely. When I became a life coach, I went through a forgiveness journey, and that was one of my things I got certified in. And that changed my life completely. And that's how I help people now. One of the ways is for them to forgive themselves and to forgive others, to be able to move on and heal and not be stuck. So definitely that's 100% the most important thing that I did to for my business.
That's a big one, and it's an important one, and I think an area of life that many of us overlook because it's extremely uncomfortable to go there, to sit with the discomfort It's not an easy strategy, but I can imagine the freedom that comes by doing the hard work and getting through it, above it, sideways, below it, however you have to get through it to get to the other side of that, and what kind of world that really does open up for you. So yeah, that's a great one. Wow, yeah. Um, my next question is, why would you encourage other women to go ahead and build their own businesses as a form of self-empowerment?
Wow, that's a great question. Uh, I say stuff about control a lot, but not like in a bad way, but to control your schedule, to control your time freedom, your lots of stuff, because sometimes we get in a rut and some people work 9 to 5. I work 3 12s plus my businesses and stuff. But so we get into where we're just stuck in on autopilot. And when you get the freedom to make your own schedule, figure out who do I want to work with. Maybe that's not who I want to work. You just it's so like it is empowering because you're not stuck like listening to a boss or whatever. Like you get to decide what's best for you, what's best for your family, and what you need or who you want to help or whatever. And I think that's really important.
Yes, the designing with the freedom to do so in a way that speaks to you personally, whatever your characteristics are or your biggest ideals are, you really can formulate your own business around that. So you're serving yourself first, giving yourself the oxygen so that you can show up later and serve your clients in the best way, right? Because it's if we're going for our business, we might as well make it such a beautiful business because yes, there's many benefits to, whether you're in school and you have to listen to teachers or you have a boss and have to listen to them. And many of the times it's a fabulous experience. It's not a total negative, of course, but the lack of freedom that you might have, this gives you that chance. So if you're going for your business, build it for yourself in a way that you feel, in such integrity that you're helping your clients, right? But at that nice creation and balance. I love that answer. It's fantastic. Love it. And this actually probably supports that too. I always like to say, what empowering routines do you do each day? I call them wealthy woman habits. So do you like have a morning routine, an evening routine, certain things that you know that your day feels a little off kilter if you missed it? Yeah.
Definitely, 100%. I do positive affirmations every single day. And if I've gone through half the day and I think, did I forget them? Then my messed up in the day. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So that's something that I do that helps me in business and in my life and has helped my self-confidence, has helped me grow as a woman and a person. So I definitely like go through that with the clients as well. But I don't care who it is. I think you should do them because I try to get my daughter to do them. It just makes me feel so good and happy and proud of myself. And that's important to celebrate yourself.
Yes, I love that you just said that because, especially also, that's another thing that can happen in business. There's a laundry list of things that we could do, should do, all the things, and we do so much of it, and then we forget to, maybe we miss one or two things and we focus on the two out of the 10 that we missed instead of the eight that we did right. And we forget to reward ourselves or thank ourselves for our moving forward efforts. And I think that whole thing, like you just said, celebrating yourself is so important, because you don't have to have a business, right? You're having a business so that you can evolve and empower yourself and design it the way you want to design it and feel good about yourself. So I think we have to check in sometimes and make sure that we're still on that point, because it can get a little bit you can get pulled in a couple different directions and overwhelmed sometimes, and you have to kind of have your own North Star, and I like that. How many affirmations do you go through a day, would you say, on average? Oh, I can't hear you.
So,
Your sound. Okay, there you go.
okay.
Okay.
You were frozen for a little bit, or maybe I was frozen. I'm not sure. But it just depends on the day and how
Gotcha.
I'm. So I can do like 5 to 10 in a day. But my favorite one is, and I do it every time, is I am enough.
Oh, I love that. I am enough. I was going to ask you your favorite one, but I wasn't sure if that was too personal. So I'm glad that you shared that. I am enough. Love that. Um, okay, here's a question a lot of women that are going into their own business or even seasoned business owners struggle with is that is the fear, right? The fear and doubt, and especially showing up online and being vulnerable and visible and knowing that, you're putting yourself out there and there's going to be a lot of positive, but there could be some cranky people in the audience, so to speak. How did you overcome your fear of being visible, maybe facing potential criticism, whether it's from strangers or even family and friends? That it definitely takes a little or a lot of courage to put yourself out there. And once you do, you're helping people, right? But to get over that barrier, how did you do that in the beginning?
Well, I will try to make it as short as possible, but I was living in fear for a very long time. So when I was younger, I was scared of public speaking. I was to the point where I failed speech class on purpose. And then I didn't want to do it in college, and then I had to give my brother's eulogy. And so when I did that, the instructor was like, if you can give your brother's eulogy in front of all those people, you can do your speeches. So I was really scared of what everybody would think, and so fast forward, I was turning 40 almost 3 years ago. And I decided that I wanted to know what I wanted in life. What did I want to do? And I knew I was passionate about helping people. I've always helped people. But that's when I started stand-up comedy first. And that helped with the fear of speaking in front of people. Then I started my podcast. Then I started the life coaching. And so I post videos, and what helps me with the fear is that I have people coming up to me and saying, "Oh my gosh, I see that you're working out." And that doesn't have anything to do with my business, but it does because it shows them that I put the work in, right? And so they're like, "Oh, I see you're doing this. Great job." Da 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 da. And so I that makes me feel good because yes, people are going to criticize, but that's not on you. That's what I tell people all the time. It's on them. Whatever they're feeling from whatever you do is on them. That has nothing to do with you. As long as you're not doing anything intentionally to hurt someone or bash a business or something like that. Now, that's another thing. But when you're doing all the right things necessary and you're sharing your business or your I help statement or whatever you're doing, that's okay because somebody that needs to see it is going to see it. But if you quit, nobody will see it, and you might not help the person you're supposed to help.
Oh yes, this I say this all the time. What I think you just nailed it. I say it in a little bit differently, but I'm like, it's not about you, it's about them. And if you don't show up, you can't help them. And it's your responsibility to be a good citizen of the world and get out there and help them because you can make a difference. So it's sort of like when we get in our own egos and think about how will I look, how will I sound, da 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 da, it's too much. You need to release that. It's not about you, it's who you can serve. So you being of service is what counts, right? And what you said also about the criticism, I said this in a couple interviews, but I still love it, just in case new people are hearing it for the first time. One of my favorite coaches I worked with, she was afraid to go visible at first, and she really needed to for her business. And her husband came across a Instagram post on a little cute little grandma baking cookies. I mean, what could be negative about that, right? Well, he scrolled all the comments, and sure enough, of course, there were millions of adorable comments and sweet comments, but sure enough, there was one, let's say, hater in the audience that somehow criticized this little cute little grandma baking cookies. And he took that to
Oh
his
my
wife
God.
and he said, if you need to not worry about being criticized because you will be criticized, but you need to get over it because look at this. There's nothing wrong with this little grandma baking cookies, and she got criticized, and so
Right.
there's no fear. Just go through it, right? Again, kind of what you were saying earlier, like with the forgiveness part, right? It's a difficult, discomfortable. No, that's not a word. Uncomfortable. Happens sometimes. I make up my own words. Um, Uncomfortable experience, but once you get to the other side, you serve yourself, you serve others, you grow, you're empowered. It's worth it's worth the discomfort, I guess, right? It's totally worth
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and necessary. Okay, so I got a little bit more, or we all got a little bit more of a hint of how you kind of put yourself out there, and bravo for that. But any suggestions in the beginning that you could give to other women about maybe one tip on how to market your brand new business? Let's assume you don't have money for Facebook ads. Let's just assume you don't have any money for anything and you're just like, grassroots type of way of marketing. Any suggestions on how you would do that if you were a startup business?
Yeah, well, one, be authentic and genuine.
Mhm.
So be how you are marketing yourself. That's how you need to be in real life, right? So that's the most important thing, because it might start off with just friends and family, and then you can grow your audience from there. But if they see that you're not being that, word of mouth is woo. So that's the most important thing. Be yourself, be genuine, practice what you preach, and then just do organic things like you know if you can't afford ads or whatever, just do a post and talk about my I have a coach that's a mind body coach, and she tells me, she starts off with I remember, or um like I wonder if, and then draw them in. Like, I wonder
Mhm.
if da 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 da, and then talk
Yeah.
about how you can help someone. What can you give to them? That's really important. And I think that's a good way, is just being like, just making the content, try not to be scared. The good thing is, everyone, is that you can't see them back. So put it out there. You can't see
Wow.
who's watching on the other side, right? So it's not like they're staring at you. Do your content, put out your, make yourself a fake commercial, and even though you can't put an ad, do a 15-second or whatever, 30-second, and then just be, also what's really important is to be confident in what you are doing. So whoever you're helping or whatever you're doing, and whatever you're, if you're a coach, be confident in it, because people can tell that. And so if they feel like they can't trust you, or they're not confident with you, then that's a way that they'll go, ooh, and then even all your best marketing wouldn't really work. So that's really important. Just be genuine, and the right people. That sounds really corny, but I believe in energy, and so who you're supposed to attract, you will eventually attract.
I absolutely believe that. There's a tribe for everybody. And that's another thing that's important to say to any new business owners. Maybe you think, oh my goodness, let's pretend you're a health coach out there. And you're thinking, I want to start a health coach business, but there's so many health coaches. Yeah, maybe, but maybe not. In the big picture, there really isn't. It seems like that because you are following health coaches, or that you're interested, you're getting thrown all of the media that would support that. So it seems like the whole world is a health coach. It's really not true. It's the smallest percentage. And along with that, those health coaches, certain people might not go to them because it's just, there's a vibe. It doesn't fit for them, but it might fit for you. So you'll find your people, and you don't need that many people. You don't need gazillions of people. You need a few to make yourself a successful business. So never let that get in your way either, or else none of us would even go out there. There's plenty of business coaches, there's plenty of social media coaches, health coaches,
Right.
you name it, coaches or healers or therapists or whatever line, there's plenty. And I like to think of it this way. Think of how many sneakers there are, all different brands and types. Nobody needs all those choices, but they're still out there, and many of them are successful enough because they're still being sold in retail shops. So one sneaker will appear to somebody, another sneaker will appear to the other person. So you never have to feel like you don't have an audience. They're there. And I love what you're saying about communicating. And you're kind of really going in the way of the authenticity. Don't be perfect. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think that's so important. In the beginning, we think we have to be perfect with everything. Everything should be edited, everything should be polished. What's your experience with polished versus natural?
Yeah, so my business is called Authentic Points of View, literally. So
I guess
so
you answered my question.
yeah, so I'm really about being authentic. And I have to catch myself sometimes, because I'm a nurse. So I have to think, wait a minute. If somebody, if I have somebody that saw me on the internet, like, is this truly to myself? Because of course I'm human and I get frustrated. But what if somebody, if I was trying to get them to do business with me or to be able to help them, is this what they would want? Right. So I have to catch myself sometimes. But with authentic, it's like polished. Okay. I know so many people that do have businesses, and to be honest, the things that they do like on a whim that's not even planned will affect people and help people way more usually than the ones that you edit and you go over and over again. I've done videos several times, like where I'm like over and over, and this is the last one that I'm like, wait, this is what I was trying to say the whole time. And that's the one that people might click on and whatever. So being yourself will, again, it's all about, it's like, who can you help, figure out who do you want to help anyways, like what women, like what is your niche, what are you trying to do, and then live that way as well. Like, say for instance, I used to sell Mary Kay, don't wear makeup, okay, this is a trick. No, I'm just doing authentic, I don't wear makeup. No, I mean, I do wear it but not every day, right? So I didn't feel comfortable doing that because I felt like I was being like it was a facade. So I didn't do well at it, is my point, because I was thinking, oh, I don't know if this is right for me, and I was thinking of limiting beliefs, and that's what I help people with. But when it comes to business, and you're so worried about every little detail, people want to see real life.
Yeah.
They don't want to see Barbie doll and everything's perfect, because their life might not be perfect. So you want to attract, if you want to attract people that are think they're perfect, maybe that's for you. But if you want a real connection with somebody and you really want to help them, and be yourself and do what you can do. Like, I mean, honestly, like, be genuine, tell your story, put stuff out there, and just, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, none of my stuff is really polished. I do videos of me, even motivational ones of me walking. Probably
Yes.
people are, they're like, oh my gosh, will you stay still? But lots of people like them. And that's just me literally doing two things at once. I'm doing my walk and I'm giving some motivational talk, and, trying to help people in any way I can. So,
I love that. And it's important that we share that because, it's just instinctive that we should have every, T crossed and I dotted when we first get started. And then you realize that's just way too much upkeep. It's like
yeah.
having to, it's like the physical equivalent of dressing up in designer gowns and high heels and perfect hair and makeup for every single day of your life, no matter what the event is or lack thereof. And it's like we need to be real in our business because that's the reality of most be real and they can relate with you better. And every once in a while, you'll be tempted to try and fix something that didn't go well. For the longest time, I was just like, like here's an example with the reading glasses. At first, oh, I hated that, but then I would just like deal with it. And I'm like, I'm not going to keep editing every video because at the end, I have to figure out where the end button, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, no, that's real. I am of a certain age where my vision isn't as great and I'm not alone. So whatever, that's relatable. But every once in a while, you might even get challenged. Like if you want to, I had this happen to me and it was kind of the mirror on the face experience and I had to let myself be imperfect. I happened to be doing an interview with the most amazing influencer and woman, Christina Rowe. She is a big deal, multi-millionaire. She's hanging out with all the big stars and she has so many followers, over 1.5 million. And I'm doing this interview and I'm so grateful and excited about this interview. And it was a beautiful interview. But right towards the end, I made up a word that doesn't exist and I could see that I made it up. I'm like, why did I just say that? And it drove me nuts. And then to make it worse, we started talking about, being authentic. And I said, yeah. And I brought up the mistake I made even earlier. And so now I'm bringing attention to it. And there, when we were done with the interview, there, you have to understand, I struggled. Should I cut that out? Shouldn't I? Because I could have. It was so near the end. I could have cut that little part out where I made an error. But then I said, well, then I'm kind of being fake and that's not real and that's not genuine. And I got flustered and I made a joke of my being flustered and authentic. And I didn't want it to happen, but it did happen. And I just rolled with it. And because I also had to send this video to Christina that she's going to share with her people. And I'm like, oh, maybe, but you know, if that's life and she's authentic as well. And it just made me realize that every once in a while you might have a moment where you're like, oh, I should polish this. No, don't polish it. Just be you, be relaxed, be free. That's the whole reason why you got your business in the first place, right? To help others and be yourself doing so. So I'm glad we touched on that a little bit. It is a big thing for many business owners. This whole idea of perfection doesn't exist and nobody wants it. So
No,
you're free to be you.
you're setting
Okay.
yourself up for failure because
Yeah.
if you think that everything's going to be perfect when it doesn't go perfect, you will want to quit most likely. And
Yes.
that's the thing is that if you want to, and perseverance is also my thing that I talk about, but if you want to be successful, it might take a year or two. Hopefully it doesn't, but it could. And but if you give up because you're not perfect, you'll never know the what you could have done or how many people you could have helped or anything like that. So
Absolutely.
if you realize like, okay, we all have to learn from somewhere, right? We all start somewhere. Nobody's perfect, and that's okay, right? We're all learning as we go, right? And so just like with parenting, there is business books and stuff, but it, it you do what you learn and you just go and grow, right? So
Yes. I love that. Go and grow. That's yes, exactly. I mean, nobody starts out, as a perfectly tall, fabulous sunflower. There's a seed and care and growth that happens, and we don't need to put the pressure on ourselves. So I love that. Um, okay, one of the questions that I have next is, what will you never compromise with your business?
I think um I wouldn't ever compromise like morals, like with my business. Like I wouldn't help someone hurt someone or something, not
Mhm.
physically, but like I
Mhm.
wouldn't bash anyone or hurt anyone or try to take anyone down or assist in that. And also I wouldn't compromise that if I feel like so because I'm a coach that deals with very heavy things, trauma and grief, if somebody needed a therapist, I would never compromise taking them on if they needed more care than I could give.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
would not do that because, well, and also I'm a nurse, and I was just against totally what I believe in. But I want the best for that person, and so I would never compromise that.
Absolutely. Yes, I love that. And I guess my last question is, what would you suggest for getting, if someone wanted to get in touch, they want to have a business, they feel some urge, but they don't know how to connect with their soul and their soul's purpose to really kind of get a clarity. Any little ideas that you could give them to kind of get started to get more in touch with their inner self and the direction they really do maybe want to go with in their life, but they just have all the noise outside of them or the shoulds and the have tos, and they can't really hear it. Any ideas what you can share?
Yeah, so I love doing like a brain dump or journaling. So write down what do you want to do, and so niches are hard. They really are when it comes to coaching, but think about like things you've gone through and who you would have needed, like what help you would have needed, who you would have reached out to. And then maybe that's what you want to do. And that's a lot of times what kind of motivates us. And that's another thing. Figure out what your why is. What is your why? What's your motivation? Right. Um, we can, like you said, when it comes to coaching and other businesses, there's like a lot of, I live in the Atlanta area. I did photography for a while and then I just didn't want to do it anymore. I did just lost the passion. I had a studio and everything. And yeah, and I closed my business and I went through a grieving process over it, but it was my choice. Nobody made me. But there was a million photographers here. There are like, oh, so many, but they're not me, right? And so when it comes to any kind of business, it's like, what do you want out of it? What are you going to put into it? Right? Because it's hard work. And if it comes to coaching, who do you want to help? Why? What is your why? And then dump it all out and say, okay, I've been through this, I've been through this, I've been through this. Okay. So, like me, I had lots of different choices. I've been through a lot. But also, who comes to you? What do you attract? People will come up to me in public and tell me people that they lost, and I don't even know them. And they feel comfortable with me in the laundromat, wherever I am. They will talk to me about it happened yesterday. And I feel so blessed and grateful that they trust me, a stranger, to come
Mm,
up to. And so I was like, that has to be my niche because that's what I attract. And it's a very touchy subject, too. And so if I can help somebody like that, it's a blessing. So what can you do, right? So if you are a woman that's a single mom and you have 6 kids, maybe you want to help women that have multiple kids. I don't know. If you I have a neurodivergent kid, maybe that's what you want to do. Like, what are you passionate about? It's really important to figure out what your passion is and who you are in the first place, and then figure out what do you want to do from there.
yes, yes. And I would even add to that. Um, Sometimes there's many things that we can do and we can even make good money out of it. That doesn't mean you should do it. And that's one of the harder things too. I have a pretty strong skill set in many different parts of business, but I realized I couldn't do everything all at once. I was going to, nothing was going to have a real strong power. And you really get the momentum going when you find your favorite thing that you would even do or think about in your spare time when you're not working. And please don't chase the money, because if it is only about the money, you will not be able to sustain the motivation for the long haul if you don't like what you're doing. Just trust me on that. Get all of that dollar signs out of your head. Think about what you do in your free time and try and match up your free time work with, like you said, what's the typical thing people come to you for? What feels natural? What do you have? What did you walk the walk, talk the talk about? Because a lot, especially a lot of coaches, we tend to go through something where we heal our own selves and then we're like, oh my God, I got out of this. I want to help others now. And that's very typical. So, and I think that's really important too, because that's where you don't even have to try to be authentic. You already are authentic, like when you're really going to deliver a business based on your experiences and that resonates with you. So I love all this great advice that you gave. This was really strong. And I love that you mentioned how the different things that you've done, because sometimes people also give themselves a hard time when they're like, for example, the photography. No, you had a moment in time where that made sense for you, and then you had to go through a process of letting it go to make room for something more. And I think that's really important. We don't have to hold everything forever. We can, because we need to keep an open door for new things to come in. So when something's ready to be closed, or even if it's put on pause, that's okay. Put it on pause. You can get to it later and just allow for new to come to you. So thank you so much. I love this beautiful, really very, very powerful messages that you gave throughout this success story interview, and I appreciate it. So before we sign off, and maybe spell your name too, so people can find you. So can you again let them know where they can find you? And I just want to say thank you so much for a wonderful interview. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So, I won't say my joke, but it's spelled boo her. So I
Oh
had
my God, I love that. I
I
never
had the
caught it like
name,
that.
a female comedian, right? So I did not want to be booed, but I was offering people to do that. So yes, so Booher is my last name. And then author Danielle Booher, yeah, .com. And then on Facebook, if you go to my Facebook, I'm verified. So I have 20 names on there. K Danielle Stroman Booher or something like that. But if you go on there, all my links are there. So you'll find whatever you need to find. And You can follow me. I do a lot of motivational and inspirational videos. And I have sometimes I have some free courses that are like an hour that I do. So, yeah, hopefully something you see on there helps you and maybe helps you decide what you want to do in business. Who knows? So,
Love it. Oh, well, thank you. Really, this was beautiful. It was everything I hoped for. And I know that this is going to be such a beautiful thing to share with so many women out there that need to be connected to this authenticness and this wisdom and go for it inspiration that you've given here. And just thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for helping the people you're helping. It all matters. It all makes a difference. And this is, yeah, thank you so much for being here. So all right, everybody out there, share this interview with your friends and family. Get it out there. Reach out to Danielle. She's amazing. She's really just a beautiful human that is following her dreams and helping people along the way. And that can be you too. So find inspiration in this and just go for it. And thank you again for joining us. And I will see you on the next success story interview. Bye for now. Now I need the glasses. Okay.